So for the last 12 years or so, maybe 10 years or so, I would say 8 to 10. I've been in New Hampshire now since I was about 23, 24, around there. Ever since I graduated high school and my mother passed away, all I wanted to do was find a job I would enjoy and learn as much as I can. But there was something in the way that's still in the way today. So I have a choice to make. I can spend a lot of time at work and learning chemistry, or I can spend a lot of time at work learning engineering, but then my organs fail and my health, I never get treated. I have a 25-year-old pre-existing condition. It's in my nervous system. I have one that causes me to lose a lot of weight. That's been going on since I was a child. You can tell by the pictures. I can't eat, stomach issues, vomiting. I take medication for that, and they used to coat my milk with stomach. My stomach with milk every morning for it during teenage years. I've been doing coating my stomach with milk every morning. Even when I was homeless, I used to try to coat it with something from the store for like $1 or something, usually something creamy or a cream cup or something. And I've been doing this now for 15, 16 years on the doctor's orders. I've gone to the doctors over and over and over, emergency room over and over and over for these symptoms. But all I get is double talk and treated like pieces of shit. They treat me like an animal. And I never ever get any treatment for the stomach issues. So that's been going on for, I don't know, more than 20 years. Definitely a long time. So, with that, all these health issues pre existing going on for 20, 25 years, and all these new ones coming up, I'm peeing black. I got blood dripping into my testicles. My kidneys are swollen. My GI is swollen. My seizure, the 25-year-old disorder, is getting worse. All my pre existing conditions that weren't treated and have not been looked at have been getting worse. Who would know if doctors ignore a condition in their patient for 25 years that condition would get worse? Who could have guessed that? Probably the kid at 7 years old that was begging and begging for help. Probably the kid at 11 years old begging for help. Probably the kid in Texas begging for help. Probably the kid in New Mexico begging for help. Probably the kid in Maine begging for help. Probably the kid in Massachusetts begging for help. Skinny, skinny, skinny. I don't know what's going on. I feel weird. Please stop. I can't eat. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. Going on for years. Now, today, I have to spend all my time with doctors and working while getting hurt. I'm not kidding. They forced me to work while I have COVID. They forced me to work while I'm bleeding internally. I never get any medical care, and that's why. For me to leave work, the doctors have to write paperwork, and they don't do it. I've gone to every doctor since I moved up here I can, and every single time they just bill me, take my money, and leave me to work and get hurt. So, during COVID, they left me to spread COVID. I went to the emergency room, I went to the doctor, I did everything I could to stop myself from having to go to work and spreading COVID. And I needed the money. I wanted to go to work, but I didn't want to go hurt anybody. I didn't want to spread any diseases. So I went and did what I was supposed to. But the doctor did not do her job. The emergency room did not take me seriously. So I was forced to just work while I was sick with flu. This is wrong. This is wrong what this state is doing to me and the disabled people in this town. It's so wrong. Now, if somebody could come and help me before the month is up, or if anybody wants to contact me, I would be happy to answer. I already have 101 plans to help, but I don't have all the tools. I have no money being made now, and I'm too injured to even stand up. I have a job, but I can't go to it. So I'm out of work for further notice, and I just called my boss telling her that most likely it looks like I'm going to have to go to a hospital in either Washington, D.C. or Florida. And I'm going to have a person quietly move me down there in the middle of the night or something. And then I'll just check into the hospital down there with the same symptoms. As soon as the doctor sees black urine coming out of my penis, the swelling in the kidneys, the shakes for the whole time they're treating me, I'm pretty sure that that should help. Plus, it'll take them a while for whatever bullshit these doctors are pulling before they can cover their tracks. Because if these doctors are pulling any bullshit, it'll take them too long to get those changes done in Florida. By the time these doctors try to interfere with the doctors in Florida's work, they'll already know they're full of shit. That the doctors up here are full of shit. A guy pissing black, it doesn't, or a guy falling down doesn't need any assistance wheelchair. A guy with the flu can go to work and spread it around. This stuff was really weird, and nobody else was getting treated like this. I watched girls who had the sniffles, right, get notes excusing them for work for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Meanwhile, I look like I'm about to die. I mean, literally pale, snot all over my face, vomiting, can't hold down food. My whole eyes look, oh my God, I looked so bad. I also lost like 20 pounds in that time really quick. I also had trouble standing up, obviously, because of the pressure on the nervous system. I was in no shape. And I was trying to take like stuff to help, like bay leaves for upset stomach. I was trying to get medication from the doctor, like Zofran for the vomiting. But they did very little. I mean, they did a COVID test. That's it. That's all they did, a COVID test. They did not write me any paperwork, so I didn't spread it around town. They didn't even take down my symptoms. They didn't even give me a dismissal paperwork of the symptoms I gave them. They did none of it. They didn't even describe my condition. They said they did a COVID test, it was negative, return back to work. Okay, so I did it. That's what I wanted to do. The only problem is now everybody else got sick. I watched as weeks later people started getting sick and I started getting better. I mean, and I had no choice. It wasn't like I had a choice in the matter. I stayed home. I tried to stay home. I got yelled at by everybody. I got told what to do. I did what I was told. But then one person didn't want to do their job. And that was my doctors and the emergency rooms once again. This has been going on for years and years, for at least 4 years or so with them now. I get sick or something happens and then they don't treat me. It happened with COVID when I got the flu. It happened with the bleeding testicles when I filled up with blood. It's happening now with the black urine coming out of my penis. It happened with the stomach issues when they just wanted to coat my stomach with milk. And when I had the OD at age 7. And don't forget the food poisoning and the Epicac punishments. With all that, you would think that they might say, oh yeah, you probably have a stomach issue and you're going to need to take some acid reflux medication. I'll write it down as you have acid reflux, you have stomach issues, you have ongoing nausea that's not going away, it's onset nausea or whatever. They have a word for it. And then we're done with that one. For the neurology stuff, we're going to need to see a neurologist, but go to the emergency room after seizures. The emergency room will document what's going on and pass that on to your neurologist. But they don't do that. Instead, they play games and release me to crawl around and get bloody on the side of the road. It's fucked up. I have a head injury. I got stitches in my face. I got blood all over me and my shirt. My knees, body is all cut up. And this is like the 5th time in an 8-year period that I've been sent there like this. They have me just getting sent to Lowell like this. They like 40 times. I mean, I'm just bloody all the time. And these doctors don't even want to write down a damn word on the paper. Head injury, that's all. Head injury. How did I get the head injury? Oh, we don't know. Yeah, you do. Of course you do. It was right on camera. The patient told you. 10 witnesses told you. What do you mean you don't know? But see, this is the problem. The doctors are playing games. So I'm going to have to suffer a horrible, slow death. They might even play games like next time I'm unconscious, they rush me to the emergency room and they finish me off. Keep that in mind in case I'm pronounced dead, because they've now malpracticed me for 8 years. They don't want this going out. They know I'm disabled, and something sketchy is going on with this building I live in, too. It's in way too bad condition. There's been way too many people getting sick, and there's been water allowed to come in the building for 10 years. And everybody knows about this. The city knows about this water coming in the building. And they know about this large mold that I keep on posting. And everybody's getting sick. We got cats having breathing problems. We got people, elderly people. We got all this going on. I mean, the landlord's abusing elderly people here. I'm not kidding. He's letting water come into the apartments and letting mold get him sick. That's elderly abuse. Absolutely. I'm disabled. I'm a disabled person. And I call all the agencies and they totally just skip over me. Like, you know what? There's an agency that wanted to investigate us for elderly abuse. But of course, both of us are like, what are you talking about? But we do have a neighbor literally assaulting the 83-year-old old man, literally taking his hands, hitting him, and my roommate had to get a restraining order against him. But that's not elderly abuse. Having a neighbor come over and beat you and punch you at 83, that's not elderly abuse, though. But they have no interest in hearing him talk about that. They just, every time I call to tell them about the stuff that's going on with the mold or the landlord or me, they ask to speak to my roommate, and then they go nowhere with him because he wants to talk about the elderly abuse he has. The landlord is abusing him with mold. The neighbor is abusing him, all this abuse. And then they just like, don't you have anything else to tell us? Like, come on, let us screw the kid. No, he helps me a lot. The kid's great. He's not violent at all. Why do you guys keep on trying to get me to screw the kid? And this is the weird part. I'm in the background listening to these conversations, and it sure does sound like the state is trying to flip people into making false statements against me. Because this old man has told them many times that I need help, that I am really hurt, and that we have neighbors coming over and harassing us, and they have no interest in hearing any of that. I mean, our neighbor assaulted an old man and abused an old man. The landlord is neglecting his property till the old man is dizzy, falling down, and needs medical help. This is elderly abuse for sure. We reported it, yet they ignore the reports, and then they try to play games with his head. I don't like that. I don't like people playing games with old man's heads that don't have any support or help. I'm the only person that can help speak on this man's behalf sometimes, and I only do it when he asks me to. But I do listen in the background, and the stuff that I hear people say to him is so messed up. You got officials telling him he can't do anything about the mold because there's no city code enforcement and to not try. You got the elderly abuse people who I'm calling and I'm trying to get a hold of, who is ignoring and saying they're not going to speak to me. What's fine? I say okay, and then I pass the phone to David. But then David tries to, for years now, reporting that he's been abused by neighbors and that I need help and the landlord has mold issues and he's getting sick and all these things. And they don't even take a single report down. Instead, they try to manipulate him into making up a story about me, which he won't do. Maybe he will, but not right now. Not while I've spent the last 8 years helping him and taking his abuse. I can't. I'm so. See, I believe in taking it like Jesus. If a guy wants to beat you or hurt you or steal from you, you take it like Jesus. And that's just how my belief system is. But see, other people, sometimes when you get too close or you're outing them or maybe they made a mistake, that's not always the way they go with it. Sometimes they go on the offensive and they go after you. Now, I don't know what's going on out there. All I know is I'm asking for help everywhere. I'm working real hard, and people are acting really psychotic. We got doctors denying and having me spread COVID. You got doctors seeing me bleeding in my testicles saying nothing's wrong. You got Department of Health and Human Services playing phone games. You got me trying to report elderly abuse, mold, and other illnesses. Yet we got people coming to the house trying to convince the old man there's nothing they can do. You got departments calling me and trying to act like, well, that's not enough. Is there anything else we can hear? Or can we convince the roommate to say anything stupid? And then they switch out words too. Like they switched out the words bed bugs with fleas and they're switching words out. But this is seconds after they just heard it. And it's almost like they're trying to get a yes out of him. Because we told them that there's mold, bed bugs in 2 rooms and we already paid for it to be fixed. Then they totally ignore me and that statement. They go over the day and then they say, is there fleas and bed bugs in your apartment? Nobody mentioned any fleas. And you heard mold. We had a whole discussion about the mold before. And you heard me say mold, 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 mold. But yet they didn't ask about the main thing that's abusing and hurting this elderly old man. This is the biggest health. He's really getting hurt. This 83-year-old's really getting hurt. This disabled man, me, Zachary Newell, is really getting hurt, and I'm going to be dead soon. And I think I think they're going to finish me off. They're definitely finishing me off if I don't get to Florida and go to a hospital to get medical treatment soon.